My name is Abhishek. I'm a third year PhD student in Operations Management at ESA, working with Professor Victor Martinez de Albenis. For the past 3 years, we've been exploring the cultural industry through the lens of operations. This particular video is going to be about one of those projects where we look at the specific question of product design and innovation within the cultural industries. So let's get to it. We try to see how the previously released albums or previously released products of a cultural producer really affect the reaction of the audiences for the newly released products. We see how the innovation that they inculcate in their albums or in their products really affects the audiences, and how audiences have different preference structures for different innovation levels. Our theoretical contribution is to look at the classical question of incremental versus radical innovation through the lens of reference effects. Contextually and empirically, we explore this problem within a very interesting domain of music industry. What is the utility of listening to a new album? Listening to music is a very hedonic experience which leads to adaptation, where people adapt to a certain kind of music once they get exposed to it enough number of times. As a result of this adaptation, people form intertemporal associations. As a result of this, people begin to have expectations. Because you get exposed to a certain kind of music from a certain artist, you expect that kind of music to be continued in the next releases by that particular artist. Hence, the utility structure gets updated to a more sophisticated version, where obviously you have the first positional relation, which is related to the artistic attributes of an album, but then you also take into account the reference effects, where you see how much the album deviates from the expectations from the audiences. This we call as a displacement relation, and hence the utility structure is a more combined and a more sophisticated version which takes into account your overall utility that builds up both on the positional relation and the displacement relation. Now, do all audiences have the same kind of reaction and same preference structure for the innovation that they come across from the newly released albums from their favorite artists? Not quite so. For this, what we do is we juxtapose two opposing theoretical constructs within operations management of habit formation and satiation, and see how audiences who are more inclined towards one of these theoretical constructs will have their reaction recorded for the newly released album. Now let's see how we use our empirical analysis to validate our theory over here. First, we take a look at the data. The dataset that we use in our analysis is taken from Spotify APIs. Spotify runs its machine learning algorithms which listen to every song and provides a 12-dimensional numerical representation for every song, where in the indices like danceability, energy, valence of a particular song really define the position of a song within the musical space. Next, to record the reactions of the audiences, we have a data set which logs the radio plays, the plays that a song gets on radio stations across 25 countries in Europe since the year 2011 to 2020. And finally, to get the reaction from the reviewers, the professional reviewers, we have the data which is compiled by albumoftheyear.org, which takes into account about 75 professional reviewers and the ratings that are provided on a scale from 0 to 100. We see that a median deviation from the expectation of the audiences of the artistic attributes of the newly released album causes the plays of the newly released album to go down by about 23%. At the same time, the plays of the albums by the same artist go up by about 13%. On the other hand, the critics actually love this kind of innovation. Whenever there's a median deviation from the expectations along the artistic attributes, the ratings given by the reviewers actually go up by 14%. And finally, we carry out a counterfactual analysis on the career of Rihanna and see how much of an innovation in her newly released album would have a positive or a negative impact on her plays and the ratings that she gets. Now this brings me to the end of this video. If you are more interested in this particular project, you can visit my website and take a look at the whole paper. Thank you very much.